Hi everyone, I'm Marnie from Aussie Maille, and today in this video I am going to show you how you can make your very own Japanese 12-2 diamond pendant with an ombre effect to the colouring. Now this tutorial is aimed at beginner mailers, so even if you find that you don't have a lot of experience in chainmail yourself, you should be able to do this project fairly easily. It's a quick project. It's not going to take a lot of your time, and at the end of it you are going to have a fabulous piece of jewellery that you'll be able to wear and show off. Okay, so let's get right into it. Okay, so here's a finished example of the Japanese 12-2 diamond that we'll be completing today. As you can see, we've got three different colours. We've got a dark, a medium and a light colour. Now in this case it's black, black ice or white if you're interested in those colours. And that's how we'll be referring to them. We'll be referring to them as dark, medium and light. We also have large rings, which are these ones here, and small rings, which when I mention them I'll be talking about these ones. Now we will also construct this piece starting from the top point and going down, so we'll be working in rows. So we've got rows 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So again we've got dark, medium and light. Our large rings are 14 AWG, which is 1.6 millimeters, and the inside diameter for them is 6.35 mils or 1/4 inch. So you'll need 6 of dark, medium and light each. And then the small rings are 18 AWG, which is 1 mil, with an inner diameter of 3.97 millimeters or 5/32 of an inch. You'll need 4 of the dark and 14 each of the medium and the light coloured rings. Okay, now before you begin, I suggest that you close all of your small rings. It'll enable the weaving to move much quicker. The large rings do need to be opened at some stage throughout the weave, whether you do them all in advance like I have here, or you do them as you go along. That is purely up to you. The pliers that I've chosen for this project today come from our Zuron range. In my left hand, my non-dominant hand, I've chosen the chisel nose pliers. I like them. They give you a broad grip here, but you can flip them over into tight places and you've got a much pointier grip. I find that's really helpful with Japanese 12-2. In my other hand, I've chosen to use just the wide short nose pliers. I've chosen the wide over our normal short nose pliers because we're working with 14 gauge rings, and this just gives a little bit of a better coverage of the ring than the other pliers do. But if all you've got are the short nose pliers, then they're perfectly fine. Okay, so let's make a start on this project. So to start with, we're going to take up one of our large light coloured rings, and onto that we're going to pop 4 of our small light coloured rings. So 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that, and close the ring up. Okay, and I'm going to place a second large light coloured ring through the same small rings. Make sure you pick them all up and close. And that is the first row of the diamond pendant completed. So what I like to do now is take up a twist tie and pop it through the large rings there. Gives you a handle to hold on to. It also shows you the beginning of your weave. If you don't have a twist tie, a paper clip will do, or a chain of leftover rings. Whatever you've got, just give yourself a little bit of a handle. It is helpful to hold on to it. Okay, so we're going to work on the second row now, and we're going to take up another large light coloured ring, and working from the left hand side of your piece, we're going to go in and pick up the first two pairs of small rings on the left side, and before we close that up, we're going to pop another 6 small pre-closed rings onto our large ring. Okay, so I've popped 6 onto there. Now I'm just going to close it up, and I'm going to feed a second large light coloured ring through the same paths, making sure I pick up all of those small rings that we just added. We don't want any dangling off, and we close that up. Okay, so that's what we look like so far. Now we need to place another ring on here to complete our second row, and this one is going to be our medium colour ring. Okay, so this time we're going to pick up this pair of rings here in the set that we just placed, and we're going to go up and pick up the small pair of rings from the row above. And before we close this ring up, we're going to pop on 4 of the medium small pre-closed rings. So put them on, close your large ring up, and of course we need to put a second large ring through the same path. So we just go through, make sure we pick up all of the small rings that are attached. Close that up. Okay, and you've now completed the second row of your diamond pendant. Okay, so moving on to the third row, we pick up a large light colour ring again, going back to the left hand side of our weave. We pick up the first 2 pairs of medium light coloured rings, and before we close that ring up, we pop on 4 pre-closed light coloured rings. That should be the last of your pre-closed rings. So 4 small light coloured rings, and before we finish with this, we need to pop on another large light coloured ring. Make sure you feed that through all the small rings. We don't want to leave any of them behind. And we close that up. Okay. Alright, so this is what our third row looks like so far. Now we're going to place our middle ring now. This is the trickiest ring to place in the weave, so it will take a little bit of care. So picking up a medium coloured ring, we want to bring that through the last 2 rings dangling off first ring in that row. Going up to the second row, we pick up the pair of light coloured rings and a pair of medium colour rings off the next one. And now before we close this, we need to add another 6 additional rings. So this is where it does get a little tricky. So pop on 6 rings of our pre-closed medium colour. Okay, 6. Now very carefully you want to close your large ring. It is difficult because there are so many rings on here, but if you just grip it and slowly rock them towards each other, there isn't a rush, you'll be able to do that. Once you've closed that large ring, we want to place a second large ring through the same path, making sure we pick up all 12 of those small rings. Okay, again, this is going to be really, really tricky. Just grab hold of the rings and slowly rock them together. If you find, for whatever reason, you can't do this bit, what you can do is you can remove or not put on the full 6 small rings. You could put on, say, 2 or 4 of those rings. Put the big rings through. Okay, it'll be easier to close with less rings on there. And then once you've got those big rings closed and in place, then you can come back and you're going to have to open them up because you pre-closed them, but open them up and then close them around those big rings. Whichever way you need to do it, you need to make sure that you've got 12 small rings hanging off those large rings there. Okay, so that's the second ring completed. We now need to move on to the third ring, which is one of our dark colors. And with this one, we're going to pick up the last 2 pairs of medium small on that ring there, going to the row above, picking up the 2 medium smalls that are hanging off the ring up there. And now we want to add one pair of dark small rings onto our large ring. We want to close that, and we want to repeat it with a second large dark ring. Okay, and you've now completed row 3. So at the end of row 3, you've got a pair each of your coloured rings. The 2 outside ones have got 2 medium small rings hanging off, and the inside ring has got 4 small rings hanging off. Okay, so now we go on to row 4 and we pick up a medium colour large ring. We put that through the pair of light smalls, the next pair of the medium small that's in the row, and we pop on 4 more pre-closed medium colour rings. Now this should be the last of your pre-closed medium colour rings. Close that up, and we add an additional large ring through the same path, making sure we pick up all those small rings. Okay, and we close that ring up. Okay, so our next ring will go over here, and this is a large dark ring. So this time we're picking up this pair of medium rings, going up to the row above, picking up that pair of medium colour rings and the pair of dark colour rings that were in the row above. And before we close this up, we're going to add another 2 pre-closed dark colour small rings. Close that up and repeat with a second large dark coloured ring, making sure we go through all the small rings that are there hanging off the first ring, and we close that up. And that's row 4 completed. So we just need to do one more row down here, picking up our large dark ring. We want to put this through the medium and the dark small coloured rings that are hanging off. We don't need to add any additional rings to this time, so we just close that large ring up and repeat with a second large ring. Okay, so that's the completed Japanese 12x2 diamond with the ombre colour. Now for attaching this to your chain, the rings that you use up here at the top will depend very much on the chain or the necklace that you're attaching it to. If it's a thicker than say this one that we're using here, you may need to use a larger ring. I chose to use our 16 gauge 1.2mm in 3/16 of an inch or 4.76 millimeters. That was my choice for this particular necklace, but I'll leave that size choice up to you depending on what chain you need to use. But that's a fairly good size that will cover most necklaces. Okay, so there you go. Japanese 12x2 diamond pendant in the ombre colour scheme. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really do hope that you enjoyed the tutorial and that you got something of benefit out of the project. Look, if you have any questions or comments about the project, then please feel free to leave that down in the comment section below this video, and I will get back to you as soon as I can, I promise. All our links to our social media platforms are also down there in the video descriptions tab. So if you make something from this project and you want to share it with us, we would love to see that. Tag us on Instagram, post it up on our wall on Facebook. We'd love to see what you've completed. Also in the video description section is the links to our shop where you'll be able to buy all the components that you need to complete this project. And look guys, if you did enjoy this free tutorial today, then consider giving us a thumbs up, sharing the video, perhaps subscribing to our channel. All of that enables Aussie Maille's name out there, and we'll be able to do more free tutorials like this, guys, for you in the future. Alright, so until the next one, I hope you have enjoyed the tutorial today and that you keep on mailing. Catch you later, guys. Bye!